All right, welcome to episode 2 of This is Moose Country. We're looking forward to this one. We've got a great guest coming up, Brad. Your old buddy Cam Critchlow joining us.
Yep, former captain, played a season here, and great. Yeah, lots of great stories. So he'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we should. We'll get into a couple of segments here too that we haven't done before. Brad's top 5 on the way shortly, and a little Mount Rushmore as well. So get your picks ready because we'll want to hear from you as well. On YouTube, you can comment underneath with what your Mount Rushmore is, the greatest Mooseheads of all time, and interested to hear yours, Brad.
Yeah, there's probably with all the amount of good Mooseheads that have gone through, there will be some definite debate, probably some controversial picks, but it'll be some fun.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into things, I know we had a couple of games over the weekend, but what'd you get up to? I know we had a day off Monday. It was great.
Big day off. Yeah, that was nice. 2 games on the weekend is obviously a lot, but Sunday morning I moved into a new spot, so that was exciting. And Monday I did nothing in the new spot, so really took advantage.
How many truckloads?
4 truckloads in total.
For one guy.
For one guy. Yeah, I just I don't even have that much stuff either, so I don't know what I was doing, but no, I got moved in. I had 3 good buddies, and my beautiful mother helped me out. So, but no, all good. What's going on with you?
Get some Christmas lights up on the weekend.
Exciting.
Yeah. Some of them weren't working as usual. I don't know if everybody else goes through this every year, but every year it's like, okay, great. Half the set works. Or so had to do a little return to Canadian Tire on Saturday morning before the game, and I got up on the ladder and did the roof line, and then my wonderful wife did the rest.
That's good.
she does all the magic work. So
how elaborate do you go with your Christmas lights?
Not full Griswold here.
No, okay,
but a couple of bushes and the front steps. We got new front steps put on in the past year too, so pretty proud of how those look.
Wow, look at you go, Scotty.
So a little greenery and some. We go with the warm white lights. I don't know if you know what that is.
Which of course I know well, but why don't you explain it for everybody else?
I don't like the cool white. They look kind of have the blue look to them. I like kind of more the classic clear. And,
As being in an apartment, I don't have any of this. So sounds
big Christmas
great.
light guy.
Sounds great. Yeah, good.
But and then Monday, day off Monday after it was a bit of a grind over the weekend. So wash the truck. It was nice.
Nice new
shine
truck.
that up. So
new
going
truck.
to get the Christmas tree at a Christmas tree farm this coming weekend. Yeah. So looking forward to
big Christmas guy. You're
well,
ready to go.
Yeah, me and the kids and my wife.
Are you is the Christmas tree up before November 11th, or do you wait till
it'll be up Saturday?
Oh, it's not up yet. Okay,
no,
that's good. Yeah, we had the Christmas tree up at the old place November 12th, I think.
Yeah.
So wait until the 11th.
Right?
Artificial, obviously. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a real tree guy.
Yeah. Wow. Manly man. Manly man.
It's about the only thing that's manly about me. But the games on the weekend kind of split results, right? Like I thought Saturday, St. John Sea Dogs in town. They're a tough opponent. They've I think 12 or 13 of their games, 1-goal games. They beat Moncton a couple of times so far, and the Mooseheads really one of their better games of recent memory because they came out flying and really kept that pace throughout the game. A 3-2 victory over the Sea Dogs. Overall, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was exciting. St. John was a little depleted. They had, I know Mateko was out and pedaled 2 of their big guys, but we worked hard and we didn't stop, but kind of cool, like one of those special moments kind of thing, seeing Kilfoyle score on the penalty shot.
Yeah.
That's just one where you're like, we're lucky to be in Halifax because the fans just erupt and the place went nuts. But it was it was a good game. I thought we talked about it, but Lou Levesque, what a game for him. Starts off last year, he had a great season, got to play with guys like Dume and Vidicek and Cataford and these guys, and then coming into this season, he's kind of the guy now, right? He's probably one of our, if not our most skilled player, and he's kind of put with the task of being that guy. So it's tough on a young kid like that, and to see him kind of break out of the shell and have one of his games that we know that he can have was pretty special, I thought.
Yeah, he really had those wheels going. That's what his best attribute, right? Is his speed, and then he's got the hands as well. So it was nice to see because it's been it's been a struggle for sure for him this year. Like, the talent is there. He's dealt with some things on and off the ice. Of course, lost his mother a couple of years ago at a young age, so it's never easy to deal with, of course. So it's a guy you pull for certain, and fans get behind him. So it was a good moment for him.
Yeah, I think it's funny in the junior realm, you forget that the kids are 16 to 20.
Exactly.
And you kind of think, oh, well, they're playing major junior. They should be able to handle some of this stuff. But, I couldn't imagine losing your mother and then coming back and still being able to perform at a high level. And so it was great to see. He's probably one of the most electrifying players when he's on, right? He's got that speed. He can create out of nothing. He's a lot of fun to watch, and it was on display all night on Saturday.
Yeah, unfortunately, not on display for most of the Mooseheads on Sunday in that game against Gatineau, the worst placed team in the league. They come in, already beat Halifax earlier in the year by outshooting them 45-14 on that road trip, or 45-15, and beat them 4-2. If not for Mathis Rousseau in that game, it would have been much different. And unfortunately, just didn't have those legs on Sunday, the afternoon game. I don't know what Sunday afternoons for me, but I find just like even the players, even the fans, it can be a bit of a lull in the crowd. You're waiting for something exciting to cheer for rather than cheering in anticipation of it. It's something about Sunday games for me always have that a bit of a letdown. And there was a bit of a letdown, a 6-2 loss. It really, wheels fell off towards the end especially.
Yeah, and it seemed to play in Gatineau's favor. Like that's their kind of game. If you look at their stats, they don't give up much. Their goals against is extremely low, if not the lowest in the whole league, which is funny for a team that's won 5 games so far right there.
2 of them against the Mooseheads, unfortunately.
2 of them against us. But yeah, it was kind of a Sunday dreary, nothing going on, and they took advantage of it. So it was tough to see after such a kind of an incredible Saturday night to follow it up with that. But when you're in a rebuild too, those are the games you need to take advantage of, right? We have some big, we have Moncton coming up, and then Val-d'Or, but coming into the second half, we have 2 games against Moncton, into Drummondville, into Chicoutimi, into Rimouski, all these teams that are high level. They're going to be tough to get points against, and taking advantage of the games against the lower teams you need to do.
Yeah.
So it was tough to see, and 2 points you're not going to get back.
But younger teams, so everything's a learning chance, I guess, in that case. And I'm a man of two minds always with that too. It's like, you always want to win. You always want to win. But then I'm like, you know what? Closer to a better draft pick, right? And there's some big names out there for the coming draft. So we will, touch base on those guys as we get closer to end of the second half of the season. But looking around the league now, we mentioned it in the last podcast too. Trade deadline is imminent right now, and coming up December 16th on the Sunday, 15th or 16th. I can't remember what the date is exactly, but it's a Sunday and runs until January 6th. And Mooseheads are going to be a big part of that, or potentially a big part of that. Yeah, it's hard to say because what is the market right now for those veteran guys like a Mathis Rousseau, who would obviously be a massive addition for someone, but where do you fit a 20-year-old goalie into a contender? Who were some of the targets there? I know we saw Moncton has recently added to their goaltending depth by bringing a player up from the USHL. So maybe they're out of it now. It's hard to say where things go. You think about names like Brady Schultz. Jack Martin's 19. He would be a big pickup for somebody, but it would obviously cost a lot to pry away from the Mooseheads because he would be a big 20-year-old player for them next year. So who do you see as potential targets, I guess? Or who are the teams that should be adding?
It'll be interesting to see because you look at the the other division, the other conference, and you have Drummondville, who's well ahead of everybody. I think they have 8 points up on second place. A team that we probably didn't think was going to go for it this year, and then
they'd be selling off at this time of the year,
right after winning last year, and then you can't really not go for it at this point when you're so far ahead, and you got some of these guys, Woodworth and Gauthier and things like this.
Sam Oliver, was he got 23 goals right now already? Not even a halfway point.
And again, maybe a 20-year-old that you look to move, but now he's playing so well and you're so good that, now you kind of do have to go for it. And Another team like Rowan still have some young guys, but they're second in the conference out there. And then if you look at our division, Rimouski has to make a splash, right? Being the third or fourth,
you're hosting the Memorial Cup, you better be good.
Exactly, and being the fourth best team in the conference right now, and they've had some injury bugs and things like that, but they know they're going to be at the dance, so they have to be ready for this.
You
right?
got 1-4 shot at it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go and win a tournament. So you got to think that they're in the market looking for somebody. And our division's interesting because you have the team. Chicoutimi is still pretty young. Baie-Comeau have a great team, kind of very well structured. Moncton, of course, is a beast, and they'll look to upgrade as well. But then you have a team coming in at the start of the year, ranked 6th in the country with Cape Breton. And right now they're 7th in our conference.
I think they have the toughest decision.
Right. Do you sell off and kind of take a step back, or do you kind of push through and deal the chips that are laid for you?
Yeah. Well, it's almost Christmas. What are they? 2 points up on the Mooseheads?
2 points up,
which is crazy to think about.
We're the first year of our
Yeah.
rebuild, and they're supposed to be going for it. So it's it'll be interesting to see what they do because they're an older team. I think their top 2 lines are all 19 and 20. So, that market too is just they want a winning team. They want to be on top.
So close last year, right?
Right, and there's so much hype around last year, and it's tough to see because they got to make a decision.
But nobody really more experienced to do that than Sylvain Couturier, who's been a GM for a long time in this league and has made a lot of deals and certainly made a lot of good ones.
He's one of the best. Yeah. He's very interesting, and he understands the market, I think. That it's maybe a little bit tougher than a place like Halifax to get some of these big guys, but not scared to take a step back and add other assets. But like we said, they've just been waiting for a good team, had their chance at it last year, or had a taste of it last year, and then this was supposed to be the year. So it'll be really interesting. And there's we talked about it as if a team like Drummondville with Gauthier, you thought he might be on the market. All of a sudden he's not because they're good. And there's good 19s. Is there any game-changing 19s out there? It doesn't really
that aren't on a contender already, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Mentioned Moncton there. Where do you think they need to add, or what would they need for a piece? They got 9 guys with 20 or more points. Their scoring depth is insane. They've got a 20-year-old goalie in Jacob Steinman, brought in Rudy Guimond, who's unproven yet in this league, but Detroit Red Wings draft pick to be the backup goalie. Pretty deep on D as well. What do they need? Is it just a depth piece here or there?
Moncton's an interesting one because, we had Vidicek here last year, who was one of, if not our best players, and I think he's 7th on their team in scoring
right
best
now. All time in the
yeah, exactly. So they're so deep. I think their top 3 lines, and then their 4th line is big and heavy and strong, which is kind of what you need for those playoff pushes in the late rounds.
Yeah.
There might be a piece on the back end. I know, again, they have their Euro, who's a big, strong defenseman. They have Moran, who's well over a point per game. Newly acquired Dylan MacKinnon, who's a beast in playoffs.
Yeah, we know him well.
Know him well. And then you got Jean Dron, who's a good defenseman. So they are deep. I was lucky to become friends with Taylor and played with them, and I know that
Taylor McDougall,
sorry, yes, and he will do anything to win. As will a lot of people would know Gardner McDougall, his father, the coach. He is a born and bred winner, so they're always looking to upgrade their team for sure.
Yeah. It seems like they're one piece away because they have looked beatable at times this season, but clearly a fantastic roster, and they're going to go on a nice run here in the second half, and fully expected to, make it all the way to face Rimouski potentially at the end of the year. But so we'll see them on Thursday. Then we got Val-d'Or coming in on Friday to take on the Mooseheads. You did mention Etienne Morin as well there. Guy who didn't get an invite to the World Junior invites came out for the selection camp roster. Calgary Flames First round pick, 19-year-old D, not there, but former Moosehead Mathieu Cataford will be there. Pretty excited for him. And as well, Ethan Gauthier, we talked about as well with the Drummondville Voltigeur, former Sherbrooke Phoenix player, 19-year-old, and his father, Denny Gauthier, longtime NHLer as well, and big part of that Drummondville franchise. So your thoughts on Cataford's chances?
Yeah, he's an interesting player. I mean, you've seen him a ton, and the beautiful thing about him is he has the ability to play anywhere, right? He can produce points. He can play with the top guys. He's big. He's solid. He can play that hard-nosed forechecking game, and he can kind of play first line to fourth line, kill penalties, do a little bit of everything. So I think that definitely plays in his favor. You look at the list, there's some good, some really talented players, and a lot that got left off the list, right?
Yeah.
I think
TJ Aginla
was 5th overall, I believe, this year, and a couple, Michael Misa, who's highly touted this year, and a couple really good players left off. So it might just be they're looking for the right mix. But I mean, you've seen him a ton.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think he's the perfect Hockey Canada style player, like you said, because he can play third and fourth line, kind of like how Joshua was when the tournament was here in Halifax a couple of years ago. Just electrifying player that can score, but he might not be on that top line when it comes down to it. And I think he'd be perfect to play World Junior Hockey because he's responsible. He can have that physicality that we like to have as Canadians as well, and able to put the puck in the net. So real captain material when he was here as well. So Cataford, for me, he's got to be on there.
Yeah, we'll call the GM, call the coach. Scotty says he's on the team.
Also excited to see assuming he makes it, Gavin McKenna, who is not even going to be 17 until later this month, which is hard to believe because he's leading the dub in scoring. He's unbelievable. Was he at 56 points or something already? So kind of like the Connor Bedard hype of a couple of years ago as well. The hype is around this kid and who's his cousin, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine going to their family functions and playing street hockey with a couple guys like that. If you're the third cousin playing, B hockey, you're probably in tough, probably minus 53 in the yard outside.
But Gavin McKenna, Medicine Hat Tigers is his second year now, but like I said, not even turning 17 until December 20th, which is hard to believe. But and then we had CHL prospects game recently, trying to think of some things around the league here. And a couple of Q representatives on that team, Caleb Denoyer from the Moncton Wildcats and Justin Carbonneau, Blainville Boisbriand. He's got a late birthday as well. That's why he's technically a year older, but is not draft eligible until this coming draft. And by all means, CHL looked pretty good against the USA development program.
Yeah, what a great game. Just to put that together, to have kind of all the draft eligible players in that game. It's kind of one hub. You get to see them all at once, and to compete for your country at the same time is pretty neat. Denoyer looked great. They both look great. They're just kind of special players in their own right, and but good to see that Team CHL came out on top on both games and did it quite handily. They played really well, and US didn't really have an answer for them for both games. Yeah,
kind of cool for CHL. Of course, is just a bunch of guys that come together that week, whereas the development program, they play together all year long, so might have the upper hand in terms of chemistry, I guess, on the ice. But and of course, that game replaced the old CHL NHL top prospects. Used to have Team Orr versus Team Cherry. I had that here in Halifax a number of years ago. I think this is a game that we'd like to have here in Halifax too, right? Like, if I'm a fan, I would love to go see the U.S. development program. It's something we don't see around here.
And I think it gives our fans, gives really the fans of the CHL a different perspective of what's going on. There's probably some biases in Canada of we should draft this guy, he's Canadian, we should look for this. And but you look at the development programs through the years and the players, the Kachuk brothers and the Matthews and the Caulfields and the Hughes and all these guys went through the program. It's pretty special, right? So to be able to see it, if we could get it here, kind of encapsulates what the NHL, what level it is, because it's unbelievable. talent on the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are guys you'll see at the World Juniors in the next year or two following, typically, because they're mainly 17-year-olds right now in this game, and then you see unless they're a superstar with the development program, which can happen, they might be in the World Juniors sooner rather than later. But yeah, would love to have that game here, and we'll hopefully make that happen sometime down the road.
Yeah. No, it'd be nice to see. They're great players, so it'd be a lot of fun in Halifax.
All right, time now for a new segment we're going to introduce, Brad's Top 3. We'll bring this back a few times throughout the season, but Brad, you're going to have many different things to discuss this year, and today I think we'll go with top 3 funniest teammates of yours of all time.
This segment has a lot of pressure on myself.
That's good.
Yeah, no, great. Top 3 funniest teammates of all time. It was tough. I got to play with some good people, but the list I cut it down to, I got all 3 guys. Well, 2 played in Halifax here, and 1, I'll start off, played with St. John, Sea Dogs, won a Memorial Cup, Mike Kirkpatrick. I don't know if you remember the name.
I know the name well.
Yeah. Probably one of the most skilled guys in the league. Could kind of score at will, but the funniest guy, the guy that he just never had a bad day. Just came in. He's always excited. He's
just like you.
Well, yeah. He was just good at hockey, so a little bit different on that point. But Kirky would be number 1. The second one would be probably a duo, tandem. We'd have Brent Andrews. I think Brent was a long time Moosehead, 5 years, and him. And I'm gonna put Andrew Ryan with him. They were kind of like a big brother, little brother type. And I remember we sat all right beside each other, and just a quick little glimpse of Brent. Every game before the game, he used to, Andrew would go down to tie his skates, and Brent would put his stick in his face, right in his face, just playing with him as he he would never touch him, but just picking on him just to be funny. And Andrew hated it, and probably could have scored another 30 goals if he was focused, but Brent wouldn't let him do that. So one of the best, and then easily, and probably a fan favorite, is the man himself, Marty Firk.
Heard some Marty stories.
Marty's one of the best. He was broken English, but funniest guy. He would, I picked him up, so I drove him, and every day was different. It wasn't like Kirky. Kirky was always high. One day he'd get in the car and he'd say, Marty, be good tonight. Marty score 5 goals tonight. And Marty would go out and score 5 goals. And then the next day you'd pick him up going to a game and he'd say, Marty no want to play today. Marty no want to play. So
always third person.
Oh yeah. He loved Marty. Marty. The other quick Marty story, and I don't know if he would like me saying this, but anyways, we
love you, Marty.
We do love you. Yeah, he's a great buddy. But we would have when he went overseas, he came back. He had a girlfriend, and he wrote the girlfriend's name on his stick, and he got about 30 sticks because he was playing for Team Czech at the time, and then he went back overseas, came back. He had a new girlfriend at the time coming back, so instead of getting new sticks because he had about 25. He just scratched the old girlfriend's name out, put the new girlfriend's name right beside it, and played the rest of the season. So one of the best guys, Kirky, Brent Andrews, and Marty Firk would be the top 3.
I enjoyed that. Brad's top 3, everyone. Yeah. Looking forward to more of those. Lots of topics we can touch there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And now it's time for a segment we like to call, you've probably seen them online, Mount Rushmore. We figure we can do lots of these as well, but to start with Mount Rushmore of all-time greatest Mooseheads, I've prepared my own list. Brad's prepared his. We haven't seen it, right? I have no idea what yours is.
No.
And the boys here at BNV Media that do all our recording and production work, they've also they've got some on a piece of paper that they're going to put in here. So interested to see what they have.
Very professional.
Say. Yeah. Well,
Slide
really nice
across.
piece of loose leaf here.
Yeah.
All right. So
still ripped. That's good.
Our boy Mark says number 1, Nathan MacKinnon.
Okay.
Shocker.
Weird. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well deserving, of course.
Yeah.
Nathan MacKinnon, I think it's pretty much a layup for being on your Mount Rushmore. So keep in mind there are 4 presidents' faces on Mount Rushmore, right? I got that right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Jonathan Drouin, number 2. Hard to argue as well. Jean-Sebastien Giguère and Alex Tanguay. So Nate, Joe, Jiggy, and Tanguay. Pretty good list. I went a different route, but
4 guys that 3 that got their jerseys retired, and Joe, who was one of the best here. So very well thought out by the BMV boys. Put in a total of 8 seconds research. So good on you guys, but all great players. Wrong, right? All great players.
Probably probably is the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
hey, and while you're watching, chime in with yours as well underneath, and when you're on YouTube, want to hear what the fans have to say about their greatest all-time Mooseheads. Brad, you want to go with yours?
Yeah. So obviously Nathan MacKinnon, number 1. What a shock. Yeah, and I'm guessing he's probably number 1 on yours too.
Quite possibly.
Number 2, and this is growing up watching him. Got to see him when I was living in Cape Breton, but Jacob Voracek is on the list. Yeah, so an absolute beast and just terrorized the league when I got to watch him. So maybe a little bias in that I know Tanguay and Giguère were obviously very good players. I just went with people that I got to see. So Voracek was...
Hey, were you at the game, the triple overtime game that he scored the winner?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. He was a man amongst boys back in the day. So, so that would be, and not necessarily in this order, but number 3, the point leader of all time. The guy was an absolute magician on the ice, and it was kind of like a cheat code. You get him on the ice, and during a power play, really whenever he had the puck, probably the best vision, except for Joe, who has come through here, but Jordan Dumais. He's an incredible player. He put up points whenever he wanted. Only had 4 years with the team. Yeah. So very, very impressive. You got to watch
330 points or something along those lines. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what the number is, but
I probably don't.
It was every game. It was like, oh, Jordan's got another 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, you just kind of wait. I don't think I had 300 shifts, so that's very impressive. But and the last one, a little off kilter here. Guy wasn't the best skater, wasn't the best passer, shooter, but kind of just a workhorse, did everything. 4 years in the league, Darcy Ashley. He's kind of what you want as a Moosehead. He was tough to play against, put up points. You could put him in any situation. And an unbelievable leader for the team. So
a great teammate by all accounts, right?
Yeah. So that would be Nate, Voracek, Dumais, and Darcy would be my 4. But what do you got, Scotty?
Well, surprise, surprise, Nathan MacKinnon, number 1. But for me, it's not only what he kind of did on the ice, it was what it did to re-energize the organization. They make that trade after Baie-Comeau drafts him and bring him here, and just the excitement level in the city of Halifax was elevated.
Well, as you guys know, as the fans would know, that was Nate and Joe came, and they were pretty good players too. Yeah. But again, as our interview, myself and Critchlow also came that year, so I think it had more to do with
what the energy was about in
rejuvenating
the
city, and then they were secondary to it. They took over the year after when they won that cup. Right. But yeah.
Well, nonetheless, he's synonymous with the Mooseheads now.
Yep.
So it's a layup. Nathan MacKinnon. Number 1, he's on your Mount Rushmore. For me, Jody Shelley, another one of those. He's like a founding father of the team, right? Like a walk-on guy, undrafted. It just immediately became a fan favorite. Not like, yes, he fought and put up huge penalty minutes there, but guy could also score goals in this league. He had 25 as a 20-year-old in that year, 1997, when they had a big run in the playoffs that year. He was him and Giguère and Tanguay. That's kind of, I think, when the city and the province really fell in love with the Mooseheads, because it had taken a couple of years to gain some traction, and that really brought the attention on the franchise. So I think Shelley belongs on that Mount Rushmore.
And even before having the jersey retired, he was one of the ones that had his jersey put in the jumbotron before and during the game, which is like, you need league exemptions and everything, and it was a big thing for the fans to put him up there. So I mean, it just shows how loved he was.
Yeah. We did have another repeat because I also have Jacob Voracek.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I think I wanted to have someone to represent the extremely talented Europeans that the Mooseheads have had that they become known for, right? Over the years, you look at Heeshear and Ehlers and Meyer, and there was some before as well, like Vladislav Nagy, of course, had that 71-goal season. And but Voracek, I think, really started a string of those great ones and had a great career, first-round draft pick in the NHL, and played a couple of years here and was very good. And then my fourth, also wanted a goalie to represent and debate it with Giguère and even Rousseau right now, I think is going to go down as one of the all-time great Moosehead goaltenders, but landed on Zach Fucale, not only because of the records that he has in the Memorial Cup, but to me, he really connected with fans as well. I think he's a great Moosehead of all time because of his presence in the community and just his just another happy guy that's always pleased to do things with the kids around the team, like sign autographs and just do whatever he could. So Zach Fucale's my fourth on Mount Rushmore.
I remember the draft that him and Nate and Weeks and Joe all got drafted. Mackenzie Weegar, and I remember being so proud of Fuchs just because he's such a good person. The family is
the
like
moment
the
with his
nicest,
dad was so cool, right?
The nicest people in the world. Yeah, his dad is unbelievable. Just great people. But yeah, I mean, other than really, in my time, Conrad Albachauser, there's nobody that connected with the fans as well as Fuchs. So great choice.
All right, that's our Mount Rushmore.
Pretty good goalie, too.
Pretty good. Yeah, not bad at all. Still, hey, KHL All-Star I saw the other day.
Yeah,
so
still
good
playing,
for him.
Still kicking.
And want to know your Mount Rushmores as well, so please let us know what you got there. And I think with that, maybe it's time to throw it over to our buddy Cam Critchlow. All right, here's the interview with Cam. All right, our guest today, a longtime professional hockey player, a multinational university sport winner with UNB, one-time captain of your Halifax Mooseheads, and of course, played a massive role in one of the most memorable games in Mooseheads history. It's the one and only Cam Critchlow. Welcome to the show, Cam.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate your time. Yeah, it's good to be on the podcast and see Brad's lovely face again. So yeah, looking forward to this.
Hey, we're happy to have you, and you're coming to us live from Manchester, England, where we've played for quite some time. How long's that been now?
Yeah, I'm in my sixth season here in Manchester now, so it's been a great run, and yeah, Manchester consider a second home for me now, so it's been a good experience.
Great to see you. We'll take it back. We'll start at the start. I know you saying that you were excited to see me is a lie, so everything after this is a lie, so that's great for the fans. But bringing it back to the start, you look at your elite prospect says Summerside. I know you had some time here in Halifax. You were a Cape Breton Cougar at one point. You were kind of a rover all over the Atlantic. Just tell us about your path, why you moved, where you played, kind of the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, I spent time all over the Maritimes, so it was an incredible experience. I get to live in all three Maritime provinces, Halifax, Cape Breton. We reside in Lower Sackville, so we were there for about 3 or 4 years. But yeah, my dad was in the RCMP, so we traveled around quite a bit, and I think it was really a blessing for me being able to experience all the different provinces. Got to meet so many incredible people over the years. You just brought up Cape Breton Cougars this past summer. I was talking to our former line mate, Jessie Wong, and got to see her again for the first time in a long time. And your name came up, and we had a lot of good laughs. So, I mean, those experiences are second to none, and you get to meet so many incredible people. And you guys know how small the hockey world is, so, you never lose touch with those people. So I was very fortunate.
You lived in Lower Sackville, so obviously you would have been, a hockey fan, so you're watching the Mooseheads. What years were you there, and who were some of your favorite players to watch at that time?
Yeah, I think I was there for the Alex Tanguay era, Cameron Benedict, Giguère, Jules Larocque. So it was incredible. I remember going to those games and as a kid and just being so fired up, and that was your NHL, and it was so cool to have that opportunity. And Halifax Mooseheads is such an incredible organization, and something that I hold dear to my heart. So yeah, being able to play for them as a 20-year-old that year, it was incredible. And I think every time I threw on that jersey, it was just a big, beaming of pride type of thing. And I know a lot of guys that play there share the same feeling. So it's one organization I'd recommend to any young player to go play for.
That's awesome. Good recruiting for our team. But we'll get into the career. So you kind of moved around, and then you decided, I'm going out west, going to go to Notre Dame in Saskatchewan, the middle of nowhere, Wilcox, Saskatchewan. Just tell us how that decision came up. Why was kind of that the best move for your career, and tell us about the experience. You got to see some great players: Jaden Schwartz, Brandon Gormley, Jordan Wheel was there, all first rounders in the NHL. But how neat was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible place. I think I left home when I was 13. So, I mean, Cuzzy, you were there. I was playing in Fredericton at the time in my first year Bantam, and we had hosted a tournament and Notre Dame had come to play. They obviously had an incredible team, so it was pretty cool to see that. And you hear a lot of folklore about that place. It's developed so many incredible coaches, players, you name it, over the years. So yeah, I just got to know a few of the recruiters from there, and my parents, were able to put together the funds to be able to send me there in the first place. With they have a good bursary program and financial aid, so that definitely helped out. And so I was able to go there for my second year Bantam, and you're introduced to a whole new realm of hockey and style of hockey and work ethic and organization. And I think putting that on someone at that age it's a lot to handle, but it really prepares you for hockey moving forward, and hopefully life after hockey. So you have to grow up pretty quick. You're on your own quite a bit, but it's a great spot to be. And if you take hockey seriously and you want to pursue your dreams and kind of take that next step, it was an incredible place for me to do so. So cherish my time there. I met so many incredible people, and it's anytime you see Maritime kids go out there, I think it's impressive. It's not nearby, so it's a bit of a culture shock for sure, but evidently it prepared me for the next step and moving forward.
Yeah, some of the big names that stand out, I think Vinny LeCavalier, Brad Richards, right, played there. Brad, who was there when you were there?
We would have had, Jaden was there when I was there. We had a guy named Morgan Riley. He turned out to be a pretty good player. There was Slater Kukuk was first rounder. So they were all below us, but got called up and were the best players on our team at the time. But it's pretty neat, Critch. I don't know if you remember, but the wall coming into the rink, there's kind of like a wall of fame there, and some pretty special names there.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You walk in and you're kind of just engulfed in, the rich history that it has. And, you bring up those names, and I was a few years before you went, Cuz, but, we had Gorms was there, which was great to have other Maritime kids there. You kind of help each other through it, Braden McNabb was one of my roommates with the Vegas Golden Knights now. Tyler Myers was there, you name it. And you look through those walls and you see the names like Barry Trotz, Rod Brindamore, Wendell Clark. Like, it's just like you're just starstruck, you know what I mean? So kids realize, I think at that age too, you realize that maybe the goal is not so far away if you want to play in the NHL or get to professional hockey. And, if you really apply yourself, you can get there. So so many friends we've made. You were talking about Jordan Wheel. It's another guy I saw this summer. Hadn't seen him since Notre Dame. And then you run into these people, and it's just like you pick right up where you left off. Like, It's just amazing how that works. And you can never undervalue how many incredible people are within the game of hockey, and meaningful people that can help you along the way. So just incredible.
How much fun was it going up against McNabb and Myers? Because they seem like two small D, not very mobile, not very physical. Must have been very fun going up against those guys.
Yeah, as sweet of a guy as Braden McNabb is, those big defensemen, they tend to wake up grumpy in the day and carry it throughout the day into the game. So, yeah, I mean, as much as the incredible talent, you learn so much from so many different players being there, and it's hard to really put into words because it's just kind of baptism by fire away you go, and you pick up things along the way, what to do, what not to do, and it's just incredible. And even one of my other roommates, his name was James Henry. He's from Winnipeg. He's an outstanding player. Played in the WHL. I played against him in pro, and then he took over coaching the Adirondack Thunder. And, I got to play against him as a coach, and you're just like, holy cow, man, like this is really coming full circle here. So, and then you got to check your birth date again and make sure you're not too old to be playing sometimes. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And it's just, it's great to see so many people make careers out of the game.
Now, your time there obviously led to you being drafted in the first round in the QMJHL entry draft, 14th overall to the Acadie-Bathurst Titan in 2007. Where was the draft that year, and what was it like for you and your family that day?
Yeah, from my understanding now, I think the draft has changed quite a bit as far as the format and how it's presented. But yeah, we were in Drummondville that year. I was living in Fredericton at the time. There's a few of us that had the opportunity to go up to the draft. It was kind of ranked, I don't know, I would say like, second, third round kind of thing. There was a few teams that, were really strongly interested, and I think they kind of bit of a bidding war between them. So it was, I ended up going the first round. It was fairly shocked at the time, to be honest. And I remember one of my best friends, Jake Allen, was also being drafted at the time. He was there sitting right beside me, and we kind of just looked at each other. It's kind of a, holy cow moment. And you're just like, what's going on? And then, Sly Couturier was the GM at the time. He was now at Cape Breton. Don't have enough incredible things to say about the man, honestly. Like, he really helped me. Obviously, his son, Sean, and I were friends. So, it was amazing. And, just for an organization to give you your chance and give you your start it's a big thing. And I was able to play there for 2.5 years and moved around a little bit throughout the league, but it was an incredible time and a very special time in my life. I think any kid that age being able to have the opportunity to get drafted and just kind of take the next step, it was eye-opening. It was incredible and something me and my family will never forget.
That's amazing. And another pretty good player in Jake Allen. He's turned out to be pretty good. But just talk about, your years in Bathurst, some ups and downs. Pretty neat. You were 17 years old and got an assistant captain, which is very uncommon. We have one here, Liam Kilfoyle, who's 17, who's wearing an assistant captain. But just speak to, what that meant to you. And I mean, you've been a leader your whole career, but, kind of the starting point of the whole leadership realm for you.
Yeah, I mean, going in there, I think when I went to my first camp, I was still 15, so you're pretty raw. But yeah, eye-opening. I think we had some good players. Matthew Perreault was there at the time. Obviously, went on to have a long NHL career. You're kind of just taking it all in, right? So it was amazing. I was lucky enough to stick with the team my first year. We had a good team. Didn't really get to play much, but you're being introduced and how to carry yourself on and off the ice, how to prepare, how to get better each day. So it was a tremendous opportunity for me at the time. Didn't get a lot of ice time, but I mean, you take what you can get and you run with it, right? And being appointed assistant captain in my second year was a tremendous honor. And we had a young team that year. I mean, we kind of had some growing pains and ups and downs. We didn't have the strongest roster, but you take what you can from it, and you learn and you get better with it. So it was amazing, and it was a bit of added responsibility, but with great responsibility is just great outcomes that can happen with that. So it was it was amazing. It was a great feeling, and leadership is something that I've always taken upon myself to do, whether it's by example or being a voice in the room, whatever it may be, and calling out guys like you, Cuzzy, for joking around in the room type of thing. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing, and it's something that isn't always the easiest for a young kid, but you gotta take it and run with it.
Yeah, during that time there, you got a pretty cool experience as well. Part of the Atlantic Canadian team at the World U17s, reunited with Brandon Gormley, Sean Couturier. You mentioned him; he was on that team. Travis Randall, Stephen Anthony. What was that experience like as well?
I mean, it was amazing. We were in London, Ontario for that tournament, and the format again has kind of changed throughout that. I know it's a bit different now, but Team Atlantic, and I think anyone from out east would agree, you have a ton of pride when you have the opportunity to do that, right? And it's a lot of special players. You're considered an underdog going into that tournament, and you're playing against. I think we were playing against some of the best players in the world at the time, and Taylor Hall and Tyler Sagan. You name it, they were all there. So it's a good measuring stick. It's a good measuring stick to see where you're at, and how good you have to get in order to get to that next level, next step. The overall tournament, I think any Hockey Canada tournament and any event is really you put that crest on your chest, and it's just amazing you're beaming with pride type of thing. So it was amazing, and we had a solid team. We thought we held our own pretty well, but it was it was good to see like a group of young kids kind of develop and go through it together. And then obviously seeing some of the careers. Morgan Ellis was also on that team as an underager. Stephen Anthony and I grew up playing together too, so it's amazing to see you grow and where things can go for you.
Oh, your tenure in Acadie-Bathurst kind of came to an end, like you said, a year and a half or so, traded to the Lewiston Maniacs in 2010. GM Roger Shannon at the time called you one of the hardest working players in the league and a true leader, and was pretty excited to get you in that deal, a multiplayer deal. Was that a trade that you saw coming? Did you have input in that, or was that something that caught you off guard?
Maybe a bit of both. I think, anytime a teenager's going through a trade deadline, it's a bit of a whirlwind. But yeah, the organization had kind of expressed maybe we should move in a different direction, kind of asked me my thoughts. They were trying to get different pieces and felt like they could get a return for me. So, the business side kicks in. And Lewiston was, one of the spots that kind of was on my radar. They were kind of in a rebuild. Obviously, I knew Roger very well, and he's had quite a tenure as general managers for teams throughout the Q, and he's put together some pretty good teams, and obviously he's won more Mem Cup with Shawinigan. So incredible chance to play for him, and I was grateful for the opportunity. Anytime you're wanted and sought out for to be acquired by a team, I think that's a big thing that you can really use to your advantage. So. Lewiston was a lot of fun. We had a great group of guys, some really good players. We had some strong teams moving forward. So playing in the United States in junior was a different experience, a much different experience. And, it was a fun place to play. It was a great group of guys. And, it was something that any kid would want that opportunity.
Yeah, it was one of those places I think a lot of people were sad when they were done there and had the dispersal draft, and it sounded like nobody had a bad thing to say about it. It's just unfortunate that it didn't work out.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because it wasn't really. I think our closest trip would have been Drummondville, which was 5 hours.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of traveling the day before, going up, good times in the bus, farting around, playing cards, whatever it may be, just kind of being kids. And you brought the team together. Like, you're on the road a lot together. You're grinding it out. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, it was a great, it was different, compared to going to Moncton for 2.5 hours or wherever it may be. So it's just a different kind of flavor to the league type of thing. But you played a lot of, teams would come in for 2-game series, 3-game sets type of thing. So it was kind of different. You could view it as like a little mini series against a team, or it wasn't just, playing a different team every night. So it was a lot of fun. And first time living in the States, kind of, a bit of eye-opening for many different reasons. But Maine was an incredible state to play in. Lewiston had amazing people, and still talk to them to this day.
What would your thoughts be about the Q, potentially expanding back to the United States? Not necessarily Lewiston, but I know, there's been a lot of talk about that. Even, your old team Acadie-Bathurst as well. I know there's rumors out there of them moving to St. John's. So what would your thoughts be on those relocations? I know you would have played against the St. John's Fog Devils probably back in the day too.
I did, yeah. But yeah, just to answer your question, I think, any expansion for the league is good, right? Especially if you're a new market in the United States, it's just going to grow the game. And now with everything going on as well, with, NCAA rulings and whatnot, it's a bit of a whirlwind for these kids. But, if you're in the States, get more exposure to those schools. If that's something you want to pursue, then I think that would be fantastic. I think, if you think about just different demographics, different areas, you're getting more brand recognition for not only the league, but each team within that league that comes to visit that city, whatever it may be. My first year in the league, the Fog Devils were a team. We actually beat them in playoffs that year. And, St. John's is an incredible city for many different reasons. It's a big sports town. It's quite the culture there, and anytime you have a chance to go there, it's always a great time. So, funny enough, like when I was playing in Jacksonville in the East Coast League, and the Growlers were in the league, and I was the only Maritime boy on the team, and I was first road trip of the year, Newfoundland. Let's go. And
0 for 2 on the road.
Yeah, kind of like our version of Vegas.
Yeah.
It's basically the equivalent at the time, right? But funny story is my roommate is named Eli Lichenwald. He's from Saskatoon. I was like, listen, like we're going over to Newfoundland. I was like, it's a lot of fun, like, but you gotta like be careful. There's a lot of stuff that can, we're there to play hockey, so we just try not to do this, do that, And I know that the Atlantic Canadian women are very hospitable and very beautiful. So I said, be careful. Keep your wits about you. But now he's married to a girl from Newfoundland with a baby boy. So yeah,
it was a good trip.
Kind of solidifies the story. I guess he didn't listen to me. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
I guess kind of let's get back on your career trajectory. After Lewiston, it was off to the Mooseheads. You were part of, well, it had to be the most exciting off-season week in Mooseheads history. They trade for you on August 1st. Then Adam Ernie gets dealt to Quebec for 3 first-rounders, which really set up the trade. The very next day to bring Nathan MacKinnon to the Mooseheads from Baie-Comeau. Austin Hardy was also added in a deal that day. What was the hype like, the buzz like for you around that time, and just the excitement level of joining the team?
I mean, yeah. Well, it was such an odd way to get acquired by the Moose, right? Like we were in Lewiston, our team had folded, so we had a dispersal draft that year. It was like a snake draft, 1-18. And like you're just like, what the heck is going to happen? You really have no idea. So I was picked up by Victoriaville through the dispersal draft and started clicking through the roster, and I'm there scratching my head, and I'm like, oh, they got like 7 20-year-olds coming to camp. 6 of them played there already last season. I was like, Jesus, this isn't looking too hot at the moment. But their general manager basically called me. He said, I saw you were available. I was a bit surprised, and we felt like we could gather a pick for you. So, we're looking to deal you whatever best deal comes along. And at the time, Brian Morrison, who was formerly on the medical staff with the Moose before that, was with us in Lewiston. And I just kind of asked him, I said, do you still speak to Cam Russell much? Like, he's like, yeah, like every day. I was like, well, do you think you could float my name to him? Like, I need a place to play. Like at the time I was contacting like AUS schools, and like I remember speaking to Acadie, and at the time they're like, listen, like we're not really looking to bring in a 20-year-old player. Like it's kind of rare, So I was like, well, okay, well, on to the next one. And then I got a call from Cam, and it was really a dream come true. Like I can't really put into words what it meant to have a chance to play with Halifax. It was special. And I think anytime you go into that, at the time the Metro Center, now the Scotiabank Center, it's a special feeling. And it was really cool, and it was just elation, but it was also time to get to work. So it was strange because we had, I think, 4 20s in camp. We picked up Cuzzy later in the probably October.
During training camp, in the training camp.
Okay, there you go. So maybe a little bit earlier than that, but and I had a lot of really good friends. As Travis Randall was there, knew him very well. Cuzzy was there. It was just Trey Lewis, Sawyer Hannay, knew them all. It was pretty cool to have that opportunity, and luckily made it out of camp and made the team, and kind of away we went.
Just made the team and also became the captain. You talk about a good friend, Travis Randall, who was the former captain. Just talk about, that process of taking over from him. You guys still best buddies, had a great year together, but, was there any animosity? Was it awkward? Was there, kind of just run through that process?
Yeah. I mean, it was tough, but it was probably tougher on Randy than it was on me. You saw
you
Randy
got the captain. So yeah.
Yeah. But obviously Travis was there, and it was his 5th season with the Moose, and that's very rare. And I think he was captain his 18 and 19-year-old season. So, a lot of responsibility on him, and there was a bit of growing pains at the time with the Moose. So, maybe not the results that the organization strives for, but that's going to happen in junior hockey. You know that all too well. It's just, there's rebuild years, and then there's championship years, and, there's not one and the same. So, yeah, I know with Travis, he handled that incredibly well, despite having Cuzzy twisting the knife in his ribs every time. He loved bringing it up. And I think I remember Johnny Moore doing a segment with us in Cape Breton Hotel, Cuzzy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was asking the boys on camera what they wanted for Christmas. And I really want Cam Critchlow to give Travis Randall his captaincy back. And because he just beat himself. And yeah, no, it was funny, but Travis handled that incredibly well and went on to have a great season himself. We formed the CCR line. We had a little bit of fun doing that, but yeah, amazing that Travis still. Talk to him all the time, and he's such an outstanding guy and huge character, and he's doing really well for himself. So, at the time, it's not easy to do going through that, but Ducharme obviously felt like something was needed to change, and kudos to Trav. He worked his ass off all year and had an outstanding year.
It was really the year that brought the team kind of out of the dark ages and really started a new, the track towards eventually winning the Memorial Cup. So a great year to be part of, obviously. We mentioned CCR line. Didn't you say, Brad, that were there t-shirts made for this?
We had, somebody made
hoodies. Do we have hoodies or t-shirts?
Someone made a hoodie or something like that. Anyway, so they probably didn't sell
your
well.
Your mom made about. I still have. Remember what she got us for Christmas?
The picture.
It was just like the nice photo. I still have at CCR with the boys, and yeah, that was when you had long, luscious blonde hair,
and it's still there. Yeah, still got that same head of hair. Yeah, exact same. So thanks for bringing that up. That's nice. So you come in that year. You're the newly appointed captain, and one of the main roles you got a 6'1" skinny Nathan MacKinnon coming in as a 16-year-old. You were kind of given the task of being his mentor all year, and just talk about how cool that was, roaming with him on the road and getting to know him. Obviously, you guys are great friends now, but pretty neat as a 16-year-old, first year in the league.
Yeah, I think, Cuzzy, I mean, you can attest to this or correct me if I'm wrong, but, the kid came in and he was just such a special talent, and it wasn't so much the talent that was impressive, but his drive and just how much he wanted to get better each day. And I always tell people, they ask me about Nathan, and, there's one story that stands out. I remember we're doing a one-on-one drill in practice, and, he goes down and Austin Hardy, pokes the puck off his stick, and Nathan just cross-checks him right in the face. And he's, Austin's a bit of an emotional guy, but he was like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, Nate, you can't just you can't just cross-check your teammates in the face because he stops you. He's like, well, I want to beat him. And I'm like, that's fine. But, there's going to be a time and place where he's going to come in and protect you, So I was like, don't piss everyone off on the first day.
Yeah.
Just reel him in a little bit. But if you ask anyone, you'd rather have to reel in a player than, try to get more out of him. So I just think his maturity and his drive and commitment to the game, live, breathe, slept, ate hockey. It was so impressive. And, he just wanted to get better every day, and he pushed and pushed. And I think that was a real driver for our team because even, we got better and better. And, we had the likes of, Zach Fucali and that, who had an outstanding year. We had Marty Ferk. Joe Durant came in later in the year. So it was just all our best players, couldn't even drive a car yet, but we were going somewhere. So it was fun. It was pretty crazy. And, it was just good to see, there was probably my first year in the league at 16, the Mooseheads were an absolute force. And then it was a couple years down. And I think we just took a lot of pride in being able to get going again and get the organization winning again. And it was an incredible year. I don't think the expectations were quite as high as, as what it ended up being, but we found a way to get better and obviously ultimately set up the team for the following year to go on and win everything. So I think you and I have a lot of credit for that, but, we weren't there the following year, but we definitely left a thumbprint on the team.
Yeah, you go from the Cuzner, Critchlow, Randall line and get bumped up to, what appears to be a better line with Nathan MacKinnon and Jonathan Drouin.
Slightly.
But how do you compare? What was more fun to play on? Was it fun to be on the skilled line, or was it fun to be part of that grind line?
Well, I think for the skilled line, I was basically just trying to keep up the entire time. But yeah, no, I mean, it was funny because, Cuzzy and Randy and I were basically the third line most of the year. But we were kind of the backbone of the team and made sure that, everything was working and everything. If it wasn't working, we'd go out and change the tides type of thing. We were workers, but we chipped in offensively and, we killed penalties. We were all over the place, and we had a lot of heart on that line. I'll say that, but it's
not much skill, but a lot of heart.
Yeah, I mean, I was basically, with playing with Joe and Nate, it was more so the puck's in the corner, go get it, and then just pass it to Nathan, and he can go score. So it was a great way to get an easy assist for sure. But didn't matter. I think with the team that we had, we just figured it out, and guys stepped up all over the ice. Whether it was Brad blocking 4 or 5 shots on one penalty kill and just being a little rat, or if it was whatever it may have been, whatever was asked, we did it. So it was fun. That's what made it so fun. And I think anytime I think of my best hockey memory is going to be in Quebec City that day when we completed the reverse sweep and just kind of seeing Patty Roy's face on the bench. I don't think that image will never be clear from my head. So yeah, amazing. And there was so many good players on that team that had so many roles that maybe didn't quite get the attention of Nathan and Joe, but it was special because those are obviously 2 generational talents that were on the team, and amazing to be able to see firsthand them grow and get better and better.
Yeah, that memorable game we talked about off the top, that's what you're referencing, the reverse sweep comeback and beat Quebec in Game 7. Jonathan Drouin with the overtime winner, and of course, you had 4 goals. Just a career game for you. Did you ever foresee that coming?
No, I don't think so. I think I think you and I and Randy, after Game 3 in Quebec City, I think we were just sitting in the hotel room, and I remember just looking at each other and being like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, screw it. Let's just go see what happens. Let's just go do the damn thing. And one game at a time, we chipped away at it. And then you kind of felt the momentum shift. And that Game 7 was really up and down. Like, we were up 1-0, 2-1, down 3-2, tied 4-4. And then, it was just like, the 4 goals, I think they were all within a 5-foot radius of the net, but so it was, it's
going off your ass and everything. But
yeah, I mean, any way you can get them, it was basically, and then Joe had the OT winner, and I remember just clotheslining him behind the net because he was trying to get away from me to celebrate, but I wasn't letting him out of my sight. So yeah, it was amazing, and I just it almost felt like it was a dream. It was just like it wasn't even happening. It just. I don't know. There was something was helping us out that day, and it just all clicked.
You talk about too with puck luck, and when you're feeling it. I think you had, you were well over a point per game in the playoff run, but you had one goal like hit the backboards and came over the net and landed on your stick. So when you're feeling it, you're feeling it.
Well, it wasn't. I think we were down by a goal at the time with like 4 minutes left, and we're on a power play, and Conrad Albitschauser, he was incredible for us that year. He was an absolute horse in the back end, and he took a shot and it like hit the dasher behind it, somehow like rainbowed over the net, hit the dasher, went 25 feet in the air. Nobody knew where it was. I must have been the only person in the whole rink that saw it coming. It was right in the slot. Just batted out of the air on my backhand, and I think you're half in shock that you got a piece of it, let alone that it went in. And then I think that was the game tying goal, and then Joe, just walked around 4 guys in overtime and did his thing. But yeah, it was the strangest thing. And I remember, so my dad was at the game with one of his buddies, and I remember they were right behind our bench. And every time I scored, he would stand up, do a 360 with his beer to all the fans, and then just hammer it. So it was just like, I just wanted to get my dad as drunk as possible that game.
What was your trip home like? How elated were you guys? It must have been surreal.
Well, I think we flew, did we not, Cuz?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we flew. So I don't know. It was almost even better than Christmas Day, I'd say. But it was pretty special, and I think at that point we were kind of like, well, may as well go win the whole damn thing now. And we obviously came up short, but it was it wasn't at the time. Yeah, they were destined for bigger things the following year. So, but yeah, it was incredible. And then we gave hell to Rimouski in that last the semifinal, and just fell short. But they had an incredible team. Like they were strong, and they had a veteran club and some star power, and we didn't quite match up to their level at that time. But I mean, we gave her everything we could.
It was funny going into that series because we won the Quebec series, and then we had home ice going into the third round. And I think that's kind of when everyone was like, oh, wow, like we're doing pretty good here. Like we have a, and St. John was a juggernaut. So they ended up beating Rimouski, but it was kind of like we're a pretty good team here. But it didn't really happen until after the Quebec series. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, I completely agree, because I think, like we had Moncton in the first round. I think we swept them. I'm pretty sure we swept them. And then, yeah, like that was kind of expected. We matched up well against Moncton, and then you go into Quebec City and they were good. They had Shazi, they had
Grigorenko was there.
Ernie, Parank, like Grigorenko, and
Duclair
who was the goalie? Broussard was Broussard the goalie?
They had Domingue, was it?
Oh yes,
Louis Domingue,
of course, yeah. So they had a good team, and we are kind of let's see what happens, and then we get in the hole, and you're down 3-0, and I think we just kind of said screw it. Like it's easy to overthink that in that time and just kind of feel like there was a weight, but I don't think we had that. Like we just kind of said, let's just go see what happens, and we took it one game at a time, and the way we went. And then you go into Rimouski, and they obviously had a good team, and I remember Dom being like, we have home ice. Like, don't let us get in a hole again. And then sure enough, we lose 2 at home right away. And then you're grinding hard to get it done. And but it's, I think those learning experiences really benefited the team, going into the next year, which was, amazing.
So we get into game 5. Maybe one of the worst rules of all time, the worst calls of all time, but you got in a fight, took their helmet off, and then got suspended for the next game. Just kind of talk about you're in the playoff mode, you're feeling good. All of a sudden, and we got worked that game. I think it was like 9-3 or something like that. But just kind of run through that process, getting the call from the league saying you're suspended and potentially missing your last game in junior.
Yeah, I think it was so weird because we were down early in that game, and it was game 3. It would have been game 3.
5, I think, because you missed game 6,
5.
didn't you?
Yeah, sorry, that would have been game 5. So we were down, and obviously, like, you don't want your back to go against the wall. And we were down 2-0. And we were just looking for like a little bit of a spark. And I remember it was Lavoie. Like, I was just kind of skating down the ice. The whistle had gone. And he came and lifted my stick, took the puck after the whistle. I just gave him a whack, and we started fighting. And my thumb got caught like in his ear loop of his helmet. So I went to go throw a punch, and his helmet ended up coming off. And it was. I remember just kind of. It was at the end of a period, kind of second period maybe. So I went in to the room, was like taping my stick, and Dom's like, "You're done." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." He was pissed at me, but I was like, "I didn't do anything wrong." Like, it was really odd call, and I remember having a heated discussion with that referee in a Moncton pub once. Shortly thereafter, but it was a strange rule, and it was a difficult pill to swallow. It just felt like felt criminal at the time, honestly. But you make your decisions and you live with them, so it's all you can do. And we lost an OT game 6. We were that close to going game 7, and it's just the way she goes sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's an automatic suspension, right? Or not suspend. Yeah, 1 game suspension. But I feel like the team may have submitted the video to have it looked at by the league, and the league decided to uphold the call anyway, which led to.
It is funny. Just before we go to the next part here, but it is funny in that you look into the minds of a hockey player. He lifted my stick, so I thought I had to fight him. Is a wild step to drop the gloves, but just shows the intensity that you played with.
Hey, playoffs. Right?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of felt like it was a QMJHL bias at the time, but we'll not get into that on this podcast. So it was just anything, because we were doing it all year. We were just looking a way to spark our team, and it was crazy. Like it was so much fun. And because you and I played together growing up, and we played against Randy growing up in a few tournaments with him maybe, but you get the chance. We're 2 20-year-olds and a 19-year-old, and you're like, it just felt special. Like it's tough to really put it into words, but it was just like you're playing with your best friends at a high level, and not many people get to do that. So
we were pretty lucky.
It was just and I think that's what the makeup of good teams are: is you have different guys that step up at different times and push people or get more to people, and that's what we were doing. And it was just, everything was clicking at the time, and unfortunately that happened, but there's not much you can do about it now.
You talk about special moments now. Coming back, you get suspended for the game. Only happened once before in Moosehead's history, but your jersey gets hung from the jumbotron for Game 6. Just how special was that to you? The Mooseheads fans obviously worshipped you and the team. So how special was that?
Yeah, I mean, it's again, like, how do you even describe it? Like, it's just even to be put in the same sentence as Jody Shelley. I mean, it's pretty special, right? And I remember it was an emotional night. Like, it wasn't easy, but yeah, it was hard. And I remember being teary eyed a few times that night, and just kind of just wishing you could be out there helping out. And the boys played a hell of a game, and I remember Robbie DeFulvis scored the OT winner, and that was all she wrote. So it was a tough pill to swallow, but it was special that to be recognized like that, and just kind of it was kind of a rallying cry for the boys, and it was one of those things where you just come up just one goal short, so it's hard, but it was definitely a emotional night, but it was pretty cool to be recognized like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult to know, like, when it's an ending like that in overtime. It's like, okay, that's it. It's junior career's over, right? I know there was pretty famous scene of Randall on the ice with tears streaming down, just pure emotion, and so it's got to take some time to sink in, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it was hard, but again, like, you did it with your, like, what can you say? You did it with your best buddies. Like, you did it with such a special group. Like, there wasn't anything more that we could have asked for from anyone else. Like, it was just, we left it all out there. It was, and I remember that photo we have, I'm hugging Travis. I'm in my suit, and Cuzzy's there, and he's obviously very emotional. It's hard, but junior's a special time in a hockey player's life. So it's you only get 5 years if you're lucky, and yeah, it was pretty cool to share that with them, and obviously you can see how much it meant to the team at the time. So it was pretty cool, and yeah, like, top to bottom, the way, we had Dom obviously, but we had Steve Hartley, and then we had Midge. It was incredible. I know Midge has had a few other stints with the team, and can't speak highly enough about the guy. It's just amazing staff. We had Rusty, we had everyone involved, and it meant so much to everyone, and it was just, you could just tell, like, it's exactly what you want out of a year of hockey. Like, you go home that summer, and like, I couldn't have gotten anything more out of it. Like, it was so special, and I got better as a person, as a player. It was just incredible to be a part of, and rooting for the Mooseheads ever since then. And I've been back for a few games, and when the boys won the President's Cup the following year, me and Cuzzy and Randy were there, and we were pretty loose. We were having a great time. I think I remember doing the three of us did, what do we do as first intermission interview?
With Johnny Moore.
Yeah.
Probably not in the state that we should have been to be on camera or on the mic.
Oh, I thought we were right in the pocket. I think that was fine.
Yeah. Now, being in the pocket, we're talking about your leadership and how good of a leader you are, but you're also a very good leader in that sense too. You had a couple times maybe you missed curfew. Just tell us about those experiences. Being a leader in all facets, you kind of had to lead us to the bar and also on the ice.
I'll be careful, because I know the game's changed so much now, and like, Cuzzy, if we were in the dressing room now, we'd be having, instead of having a beer, we'd be having like a green drink or something sour, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like the game's changed, and that's the demand of the game. So it's funny to see the transition. You hear about it from guys that are older than you, how it used to be, and it's changed a little bit, and then it continues on. Just the game's getting so good now. But yeah, I mean, we definitely liked the run, didn't we? We had a bit of fun, and I don't know what I can and can't say on this podcast, but I'm just going to go for it. So I remember that we had just beaten Drummondville. I think we had won 5 in a row. We were at home, and Dom comes in. He's like, okay, 1 o'clock curfew. Like, Midge, come here. Like, Midge, like, come on. Like, can you get us later? Nah, like, help us out a little bit. And he's like, oh, thanks a lot. Like, yeah, I'll go speak to him. I was like, all right, 1:30. You're like, oh, crying out loud. So then I think it was you and I and Travis Randall, Sawyer Hannay, Alex Cote, Trey. There's a few of us. So there's maybe a few more. I don't know. And I think we probably got downtown around, 1 a.m.
Past
I remember
curfew.
we're like waiting in line to get into Cheers, and Diane, our athletic therapist, comes running down the street. She grabs me and you, and she's like, "The staff's coming down the street. Like, get the hell out of here." So I think we took that as, oh, we better get into the bar. You know,
Where's a good place to hide?
I remember giving the bouncer $40, and I go, "If you see a guy in a suit with white hair, don't let him in." He's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And I remember we go into Cheers and we go into the dome, and we're all like on a platform, and we're all just like sitting there laughing. And then I look to my left, and there's no one there. And I look to my right, and the boys are all gone. I'm like, where the hell did the guys go? And I turn behind me, and there's like a staircase that goes up, and then like another staircase that goes this way. And sure enough, there's Dom walking up the stairs. And I'm like, oh crap. Oh, I beeline it up these stairs, but in the state that I was in, you didn't realize that staircase also met the staircase that he was coming up. And I'm running full speed, and I get Goldberg speared by Dom into the wall. And he's got his fingers, and he's just hammering me in the chest, and he's screaming at me. He's like, "Get your friends and get the hell home." And I was just like, oh my God, like, holy cow. And yeah, then I remember we were just like, what the hell is going to happen next? I don't really know. And I think if we had an underpants cam on us that time, I don't know if it would have passed, but it was, might have been a few skid marks in the underpants that day. But yeah. And then I remember speaking to Steve Hartley like a few months later, and he was just laughing at me because he was like, "Man, you look like you saw a ghost." Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just like your life had left your body. And yeah, we paid for it dearly, but yeah, sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze, maybe.
Important question. Did you just swing by, talk to the bouncer, and get your $40 back?
Well, we were trying to pull out any move we could to avoid trouble, but in the mind of a 20-year-old, I think that was the only play I had. So I was the only I had to do something.
That was a lot of anxiety at the time, and then makes for a great story after. So, and other than the hour and a half bag skate and the endless amount of stairs we had to run for it, but 1,000,000% worth it.
Yeah, I think, well, now it's fun to laugh about it. At the time, it was like, oh my God, my life is over.
Yeah, we're all traded. We weren't that good anyway, so we were all we all thought we were traded and sent down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, good fun, but leadership in all categories, so thank you for that.
Yeah, well, Cuzzy, I think you were my wingman on that one, pal, but yeah, it was it was definitely something like I remember so vividly to this day. It's just so funny to think about, and you're like, I can't believe like how it all transpired, and we thought we were just thick as thieves, like, no problem. We're good. Like, we walked into that pub and we thought we were just like fine, no problem at all. And then sure enough.
Yeah, there's your whole coaching staff, and yeah, nice to see you guys.
I think Rusty was there too, but he didn't have much to say. He said it was Dom's call. I honestly think to this day he respected it by me, but we'll see.
Yeah. He would have been disappointed if you weren't.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to please everyone, but I think if anything, I think we gained some respect somehow out of that.
That's awesome.
Well, I guess after all that, then you're moving on to UNB. We'll, run a little long here. So we'll touch briefly on your career with UNB. Obviously a magical run there under Gardner McDougall, 3 national championships. Just, put that in a summary for us, how life was with the varsity Reds.
Yeah, it was, it's obviously a historic program throughout Canada, and Gardner's a very demanding coach, but, he gets so much out of his players. And, I remember walking into that room the first day, there was a guy named Josh Kidd. He played in the OHL for 4 years. He was about 6'4" and 240 pounds of just pure muscle. I walked into the room and he had his shirt off, and I kind of looked around, and I was like, am I in the right place? It's like, what's going on? But yeah, it was, so many incredible players to go through, not only the AUS, but, that program as well. And it was incredible. The work ethic, the the demand that he put into his players, it was really something I've never seen before. And it's different than junior pro because, you know, you have the same schedule every year. You're playing the same teams. It's pretty much a copycat league, like many are, but most teams are playing the same systems. And I remember just the work ethic and everything we'd put in and the demand that was upon us. And it was, you know, heavily relied from the alumni that had done it before. It kind of made the program to what it is. And, you know, it was really cool to see. And yeah, it was every year you're expected to win. And anything less than that is, you know, complete and utter failure. So, yeah, it was demanding. And, you know, we played Cuzzy in a national final in the Scotiabank Center once. And, you know, there was a few years where I just, you know, goddamn Cuzner again. Like, we had some good battles, and it was just so funny because I remember screaming at him multiple times about staying on your feet and stop diving around and like ice skipping.
Big part of my game.
Yeah, you played it to perfection.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it was so frustrating to play against. And not only with that whole CNFX team, and, you know, Brad Peddle did such a good job with that program, and so many good players have come through there. Not only them, you know, St. Mary's, UPEI, Acadie, you name it. Like every team, nothing's an easy win in that league, and you got to earn it for sure. So it was, you know, AUS. I reset it when I was there. It's the grittiest league in all of hockey. Like, I swear to God, they should just let the guys fight because it would be way different. But it was just crazy, like how hard guys would battle. It was, you know, it was amazing. And stick work, you're like you're playing for the 80s Oilers, you know, the amount of stick work that's going on, and it's just like, oh my God. But
yeah, the ice has got to seem ice got to feel a lot smaller suddenly after coming from junior, right? And then suddenly you're playing with these big, strong, fast guys.
Oh, I don't know if you remember the name of Justin Wallingford, but oh my God, he was the captain of St. Mary's my first year. And I remember I was looking behind my back to get a pass, and it was like I got hit by a semi-truck. It was just like, I remember just like on the ice like this and just crawling to the bench being like, help. And it was just like, there's your eye-opening moment, right? Like, welcome to the league. Which happens, you know, usually anytime you make a jump up, right? And you're playing against men, and men who take pride in what they do, you know? So it was fun. It was incredible. And, you know, played with so many good players at UNB and against so many good players in the US and CIS and U Sports, whatever you want to call it now. But yeah, it was amazing. And, you know, part of that winning culture is something special and something to walk into. And, you know, you kind of feel like if you don't win, then you let not only your teammates down, but the guys that were there before you and everything that's associated with it. So it was such a high standard, and it was a lot of fun, and, you know, so many amazing memories, and was lucky enough to, you know, be captain of that team and win a few national titles as well. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without Gardner and UNB for sure.
Obviously had a ton of success, you know, led the UNB to 3 national championships, which is awesome. But then leaving after your 5th year, you go down, you play in the East Coast to an expansion team in Jacksonville. Just, you know, how neat was that, and how, you know, different was it where nobody really knew each other coming in?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. If there's any pro hockey players looking for a team, I recommend going to Florida. It's incredible. So, but, you know, Jacksonville, yeah, it was a new team. It's such a blue collar, like, city, like it's a sports town, and it just, like, there's a ton of Canadians down there. It really was a great fit for me. You know, like, we had ourselves, there was like a AA ball team called the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. They had, you know, dollar beer nights, and you're like, this is awesome, you know. And then you get the Jaguars, obviously, but, like, you're talking to people, you know, if you were out, people would be like, oh yeah, you guys are the Icemen. Like, they would, like, hold you to the same standard of, like, the Jaguars, and you'd be like, oh yeah, like, yeah.
yeah.
Got them fooled again. But yeah, it was amazing. And the expansion team we had such a tough team. Like, that's kind of the coach we had. And with an expansion team, you want to obviously be able to generate a fan base and put roots down as an organization and grow the culture, right? So it was blue collar, and man, we had a tough team. It was a lot of fun. I played on a line with a guy named Garrett Hunt. He was about 5'7", but he was one of the toughest buggers you've ever met. And I played on his line that year, and I felt like I was, you know, 6'5". So it was great. I could get away with a lot. And, start a lot of stuff up. But they gave me my chance in pro, and it was amazing. And I played there for 3 years. So many great memories. The East Coast League, I always say, if you've played in that league, you can play anywhere because it's an absolute grind. Like you're bussing around. You don't even know what city you're in. You play at home on Saturday night at 7 p.m. You get on the bus and drive 6 hours after the game. You're playing the next day. You're like, what time is it, man? Like, you don't even know. It's just crazy. But what a tremendous experience, and like what a great league to play. And I just think it develops such good character, your work ethic, and you really test your passion and love for the game. Because if you're gonna play in that league, man, you gotta love it, because it's a grind and it's fun. But like it makes you feel like a hockey player. I'll say that for sure.
Now, did it just sort of run its course, and that's what led to the decision? Because you've been in Manchester ever since after your stint with Jacksonville. What led to that decision, and why did you make the move?
Well, I at the end of my second season, I had a really bad injury with my hips. I dislocated my pubis bone, and it was a long recovery. It was really tough, and it kind of put a bit of a scare in me, because you obviously, your career has it has a fixed rate on it, and it's not always going to last forever. So I always was aware of the league here in England, and they have a great opportunity for a lot of players. You can come over and do your master's program and play, and obviously get paid to play while doing your master's, and they pay for your schooling. So it was always kind of like what I wanted to do, as far as what I had in my mind, as far as playing a few years on the coast, maybe get a few call-ups, and see where it goes. If not, go play overseas and do some schooling. I think my original plan was to come over, do my schooling, and then call it a career, but it hasn't really worked out that way. So my first year I came over here was unfortunately, it was a COVID year, so we got called off in February, and I'd started my school in October. It was a 2-year program, and I was in school for the first part of it, and then obviously had to do most of it online with COVID and going home back to Canada and stuff. The league wasn't running, so I went back to Jacksonville. They started up a bit later that year. It was just, it really put in perspective how much you value playing and how much that is part of your life, because when it's taken away from you, that's the only time that you realize, how important it is. And just being able to play and be around the guys, and how much, that like circle of friendship and just teammates, it just means so much to you in your life. And you've been doing it for so long that it's not easy, to have that taken away from you. So, I was back in Jacksonville, and, I was still doing my schooling. And with the time change, I remember like having to wake up at like 4 a.m. and do a presentation. Like, what is going on? It was great. And, I was able to finish up my master's, and, I mean, what a great opportunity for myself. I cherish that every day, and I'm very thankful to have that opportunity. So, I think if we can get as much free schooling as you can, cuz I think that's probably a good way to do it. Certainly helped out mom and dad for sure, and their wallet. So it was a great opportunity for me. And if there's any guys playing minor pro and are looking to do that, I highly recommend it for sure.
As the two high-level scholars talk back and forth here between you and I, but in terms of opportunity, you get over there, and a big kudos to you. You make Team Great Britain. A lot to do with the leadership, your game. You're obviously, a point producer over there, and a great player, but you get to play against the likes of, Connor Bedard, John Tavares, Nico Hischier was over there. So, how cool was that experience?
I mean, amazing. It's right up there with any top experience I've had in the game. And, like, you're there, and it's obviously like, it's a bigger scale than anything I've ever played in before. You're in the hotel, and there's 2 different pools, and we were in Prague, and there's another division just down the road. So we were with Canada, the Swiss, you name it, all these big teams. And it was so incredible. And it's so funny, because like we played Canada the first game, and like you see them in the hotel, and you're just like, this, the swag on the boys, like, just incredible. Like we got nice stuff, like clothing and stuff, but like, not like, we had plenty, like, you get a full wardrobe basically, and the Canada guys are rolling in like Nike Tiger Woods shirts on. You're like, what the hell did we get those? What's going on?
Yeah, what's wrong with our budget?
Yeah, I remember, we were in the buffet line, because staggered meal times, and we were in there, and I went up to get I saw Bedard in line. I was like, well, I'm gonna go screw with this kid. So I get in line. I go right beside him. I'm like, what's going on, man? Like, how you doing? And I start talking to him, and he looks at me like I have like 8 heads, and you're just like, okay, like, completely forgot this kid was like 18 years old. Like, he's just oh my goodness. And yeah, we played Canada the first game, and we had, you're lined up down the hall like European hockey's like, like soccer, right? Like, you're lined up in the hall, and one team goes, the other team follows, type of thing. And like Jamie Alexiak's to my right, and I'm like, oh,
6'9". Yeah,
crazy, man. Like we're on the ice, and I'm stretching, and like they're coming out doing warm ups, and I'm just like, oh my god, what the hell is gonna happen? And we go and we score. We score the first goal. We're up 1 rep, gets called back. Next shift, we score again. We're like, holy, like
we're gonna dominate these guys.
We can beat Canada, and like all my buddies from back home are just like chirping me so hard, like texting me, like, don't get lit up tonight, like have fun doing -8, like all this. Yeah, thanks boys, appreciate it. It's great. And we ended up losing 4-2, and we were like, oh, this is great. Like this, we can play with these guys, and we play Finland the next game and pumped 8-0. It's like, oh my,
reality check.
Maybe we got ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but I mean, like I can't say that, like the UK hockey team, Great Britain, like it's amazing to see how far they've come, and like the group that they have has been together for so long. So, there's a few guys in the same position as me who hold dual passports that play, and they've been there for a little bit as well. So I obviously very thankful they welcomed me to the team and had that opportunity to play. So it was amazing. And, like my mom and my girlfriend and, a lot of family came over. So that was incredible. And, it was awesome. And then after the tournament was done, went home, and then we went to Spain for 8 days, and we had a blast. So it was great. It was a great family vacation. And, yeah, it was amazing.
Pretty sweet. Well, great memories and great catching up with you, Cam. We appreciate you taking the time to do this today.
Oh, my absolute pleasure, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Critch.
Good to see you, Cuzzy.
You too, buddy.
Great interview. Cam Critchlow. Happy to have him here. That was a really good one, eh?
Yeah, he's a great guy, great leader, great player, but a great storyteller.
Love the dumb story for sure. So that's gonna about do it for episode 2. As always, want to hear your comments below, see your comments below, as well as emails, Mooseheads at Halifax, mooseheads.ca. Any fan feedback, guests that you'd like to see, or comments on us personally, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
good or bad, we'll take it.
Let's maybe stay away from that one.
Yeah.
So,
No, all good. But of course, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to hit like and subscribe. You want to get that notification for when the next one will be coming out, which will be soon, of course. And Brad, where else can they get your podcast?
Well, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and a comment about the show.
All right. See you next time, everybody.